My parents threw me out because I married my unemployed BF. 8 years later, my BF buys their house, and I shut its door on their faces. I 30. Grew up in a conservative family. My parents always emphasized the importance of marrying someone successful and wealthy. My elder brother, 35, followed their wishes and married a woman, 33, from a well-off family 8 years ago. I was dating Tom, 32. He had just finished his MBA and was unemployed, looking for the right opportunity to start his business. My family, especially my brother and sister-in-law, constantly criticized my choice. They called Tom a loser and said I was wasting my time with him. The situation worsened. When Tom proposed to me, I accepted, and when I told my family, they were furious. My brother and sister-in-law led the charge in convincing my parents that I was making a huge mistake. They argued that Tom would never amount to anything and that I'd regret my decision. My parents gave me an ultimatum: break up with Tom or leave the house. I chose Tom. I packed my bags and left with my family, telling me I was no longer welcome. They didn't even want to meet Tom or give him a chance. Tom and I got married in a small ceremony with just our close friends. We struggled initially, living in a tiny apartment and barely making ends meet. But Tom's business idea started to gain traction, and slowly things improved. Now, 8 years later, Tom's business has become incredibly successful. We're wealthy beyond what I ever imagined. We live in a beautiful home, travel the world, and have a comfortable life throughout it all. Tom has been my rock, always supportive and loving. Lowing recently, I heard, through a mutual acquaintance, that my family was facing financial difficulties. They had made some bad investment and were now in debt. They were selling their large family home to partially cover their debts. Tom suggested we buy the house. At first, I was hesitant, but then I thought it might be a way to finally confront my family. Tom agreed to handle the purchase as my family had never met him and wouldn't recognize him. Yesterday, Tom went to see the house and made an offer. My family, desperate for money, accepted immediately. The deal was closed quickly today. I went to the house. As I walked in, my family was there, packing their belongings. They looked shocked to see me. My brother immediately said I wasn't welcome and that the house no longer belonged to them. That's when I dropped the bombshell. I told them that the house was now mine, as my husband, the same unemployed boyfriend they had criticized years ago, had bought it. The look on their faces was priceless. They were stunned into silence. Then they started pleading, saying they were family and asking if we could help them out of their financial troubles. I refused, reminding them how they had treated me and Tom. I told them they had a month to move out as per the sale agreement. Then I left, leaving them in shock. Now I'm wondering if I went too far for buying their house and refusing to help them after how they treated us. Yes, my family knew I was married to Tom, but they never reached out or tried to mend fences. They only knew his first name and had never seen him, which is why they didn't recognize him during the house purchase. The house has sentimental value to me. It's where I grew up, and despite everything, I have some good memories there. That's partly why we decided to buy it. Tom and I discussed this decision thoroughly. He's fully supportive and agrees with how we're handling the situation. My parents called me, repeatedly leaving voicemails, alternating between apologies and accusations. My brother sent a long email, trying to justify their past actions, and pleading for another chance. I decided to meet with them one last time. To clear the air, we met at a neutral location, a cafe near there. Now, our house. Tom came with me for support. The meeting was tense from the start. My mother burst into tears upon seeing us, while my father and brother looked a mix of angry and desperate. My sister-in-law just looked uncomfortable. I let them speak first. They talked about how sorry they were, how they realized their mistake, and how they wished they could turn back time. My brother admitted that his actions were partly driven by jealousy. He had always been the golden child, and seeing me happy with Tom threatened his position in the family. When it was my turn to speak, I was calm but firm. I told them about the struggles Tom and I faced in the early years of our marriage, how we supported each other, worked hard, and built our life together. I explained how their rejection had hurt me deeply, but also made me stronger. I made it clear that while I was willing to have a civil relationship with them, I couldn't forget or fully forgive what they had done. As for their financial situation, I told them that I wouldn't be bailing them out. Their poor decisions were their responsibility. However, I offered to let them stay in the house for 3 months, rent-free, instead of 1, to give them more time to find a new place and sort out their finances. They weren't happy with this arguing that family should help family, but I stood my ground, reminding them that they hadn't considered me family. When they threw me out, the meeting ended with no real resolution. My family left, looking defeated. Tom and I went home, both emotionally drained. I still feel conflicted. Part of me wants to help them more, but another part feels they don't deserve it. After our meeting at the cafe, my family seemed to back off for a while. They moved out of the house. Within the 3-month period, we gave them finding a smaller place to rent. I thought that might be the end of it, but I was wrong. Last week, my sister-in-law reached out to me privately. She asked to meet, saying she had something important to discuss. Curious and a bit wary, I agreed to meet her for coffee when we met. She broke down and confessed that she had been the main instigator in turning my family against Tom. And me, she admitted to feeling threatened by my relationship with Tom, fearing that if he became successful, it would overshadow her and my brother's status in the family. She told me that she had fed my brother and parents with constant negativity about Tom, exaggerating his unemployment and painting a bleak picture of our future together. She even admitted to hiding a job offer letter that had come for Tom at our family home. Just before we left, I was shocked and angry. Her actions had caused so much pain and division in our family. But as I watched her sob and beg for forgiveness, I also felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I had an explanation for why my family had been so harsh and unyielding. I told her I needed time to process this information and that I'd be discussing it with Tom. She understood and left looking both relieved and anxious. When I told Tom about this revelation, he was as surprised as I was. We spent a long time talking about it, discussing how this new information affected our feelings about the situation. After much discussion, we decided to have another family meeting. This time, we invited everyone to our home. It was the first time my family had seen how we lived, and I could see the surprise, perhaps a bit of envy in their eyes at the meeting. I asked my sister-in-law to share what she had told me. Watching my parents and brother react to this confession was difficult. There was anger, disbelief, and eventually a sense of guilt as they realized how easily they had been manipulated. My brother in particular seemed devastated. He apologized profusely, both to Tom and me, acknowledging that he should have stood by his sister instead of being swayed by his wife's jealousy. The meeting was emotionally charged, with a lot of tears and apologies. By the end, it felt like we had finally cleared the air. However, I made it clear that while this explanation helped me understand their actions, it didn't erase the pain of the past 8 years. Tom and I told them we were willing to start rebuilding our relationship, but it would take time and effort on all sides. We also stood firm on our decision about the house and their financial situation. We explained that they needed to take responsibility for their actions and decisions, just as we had done when we started our life together. They seemed to accept this, though I could tell they were still hoping for more financial help. We ended the meeting on a cautiously optimistic note, agreeing to start with small steps like occasional family dinners. I feel like a weight has been lifted, but I'm also wary. I know rebuilding trust will be a long process. We've been slowly working on rebuilding relationships. It hasn't been easy, and there have been setbacks. But overall, I feel we're moving in a positive direction. We started with monthly family dinners, alternating between our home and a restaurant. These dinners were awkward at first, with forced conversations and lingering tension. But over time, they become more relaxed and genuine. My parents have made a real effort to get to know Tom. They've apologized to him personally for judging him without ever meeting him. Tom, being the kind person he is, has been gracious about it. Though I know the past hurt still lingers for him too. My brother and I have had several heart-to-heart conversations. He's expressed deep regret for not standing by me. I'm still cautious around her trust. Once broken, takes a long time to rebuild. On the financial front, we've stuck to our decision about the house. My family moved into a smaller place and have been working on getting their finances in order. They initially struggled with this, but I think they're beginning to understand that it's necessary for them to take responsibility for their choices. However, seeing their efforts to change and rebuild relationships, Tom and I decided to help in a different way. We offered to pay for financial planning sessions for them to help them budget and make better financial decisions. They accepted this offer gratefully. We've also started a small family investment fund where we're teaching them about responsible investing. It's a way for us to help them secure their future without directly handing over money. This has actually brought us closer, as we often discuss business and investment strategy. As for Tom and me, this experience has made our relationship even stronger. We've had many discussions about family forgiveness and setting healthy boundaries. Tom's support throughout this entire ordeal has been unwavering, and I'm more certain than ever that I made the right choice 8 years ago. The house that was once a source of pain has become a symbol of new beginnings. We've renovated parts of it, erasing painful memories and creating new happier ones. We've even hosted a few family gatherings here, which would have been unthinkable a year ago. Looking back, I don't regret buying the house or standing firm on our decisions. It was necessary to break the old family dynamic and forge a healthier relationship. While things aren't perfect, and we still have our moments of tension, we're in a much better place now. I've learned a lot through this experience about forgiveness, setting boundaries, and the importance of open communication. I've also learned that family relationships can be mended, but it takes effort from all sides. The journey hasn't been easy. Those first few years with Tom were challenging. We lived in a tiny studio apartment, barely making ends meet. I worked 2 jobs while Tom tirelessly pursued his business idea. There were nights when we sat on our second-hand couch, eating instant noodles, wondering if we had made the right choice. But we had each other, and that was enough. Tom and I created our own traditions. We built a family of friends, people who accepted us and supported our journey. When we heard about my family's financial troubles, it stirred up a mix of emotion. Part of me felt a sense of vindication. They had judged us so harshly, and now they were the ones struggling. But another part of me felt sad. Despite everything, they were still my family. Walking into the house that day, seeing my family's shocked faces was surreal. The roles had reversed so completely. I won't deny that there was a moment of satisfaction in revealing that Tom, the man they had dismissed so easily, was now successful enough to buy their home. But that satisfaction was quickly overshadowed by the complexity of emotion that followed my sister-in-law's confession. Was a turning point. Learning that she had been the primary instigator in turning my family against us was both infuriating and illuminating. It helped me understand the dynamics at play all those years ago, but it also opened up new wounds. Forgiving her has been one of the hardest parts of this journey. These past 6 months of rebuilding relationships have been challenging. Every dinner, every conversation feels like navigating a minefield. There's so much history, so much hurt on all sides, but there's also a shared desire to move forward, to try and salvage what we can of our family bonds. I've had to confront my own feelings of resentment and hurt. There are days when I question whether I'm doing the right thing by allowing my family back into my life. But then I see the genuine efforts they're making. My parents getting to know Tom, my brother working on his issues in therapy, my sister-in-law trying to make amends. And I feel hopeful the financial aspect of our relationship remains a sensitive issue. I stand by our decision not to simply bail them out of their financial troubles. They need to learn from their mistakes, just as Tom and I learned from ours. But offering help in the form of financial planning and investment education feels like a constructive way forward. It's teaching them to fish rather than just giving them a fish. As the saying goes, Tom has been my rock throughout this entire process. His willingness to forgive, to give my family a chance despite how they treated him, amazes me. He says he does it for me, but I know it's also because of the kind, generous person he is. His support has made this journey of reconciliation possible. I've learned so much through this experience. I've learned about the power of forgiveness, not just for the person you're forgiving, but for yourself. I've learned about the importance of boundaries and how they can actually strengthen relationships when implemented with love and clarity. I've learned that family is complex, messy and imperfect, but also capable of growth and change. Most importantly, I've learned that love, the kind of love Tom and I share, the kind that weathers storms and celebrates joys, is the found upon which everything else is built. It gave us the strength to face those difficult early years, and it's giving us the strength now to navigate this complex family situation. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and insights have been invaluable. Moral of the story: forgiveness and boundaries are key to rebuilding relations. Sometimes giving a second chance can lead to healing and growth for everyone involved. Love and communication are the foundation of strong relationships, guiding us through both hardships and triumph. And that's the end of our story. Thank you for joining me on this journey of forgiveness, growth, and love. Remember, family relationships can be tough, but with effort and communication, they can be mended. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the notification bell for more inspiring stories. And as always, remember to cherish the love and support of those who truly matter in your life. Until next time, take care and stay strong. Goodbye.